Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the podcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again to celebrate our 50th episode. Steve Kern, how you doing there, Steve?
Hi everyone, hi Ben, and it is a celebratory episode today, number 50. Who would have thought that we'd ever got this far? I didn't.
Absolutely. We've done all right as far as pumping the episodes out. And we've had a bit of an interesting time too, just going through a whole bunch of different topics and all that sort of thing. And it's just amazing that what started out as, I guess just a desire to formalize chats that we normally have anyway into some sort of format, that it's sort of come along to this now.
Look, it's unbelievable, Ben. I just, when I was sitting down writing my blog this week, thought about how you and I now both blog for each episode and how much we've actually done and spoken about. It's been great, and a big thank you to all our FiST Chat listeners who have come along for the journey.
Absolutely. Thank you as well from me and both of us. And as we always state in every episode, visit our website at fistchat.com and you can get all of our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, RSS links and blogs, and make sure you interact with us, because we've already had some interesting interaction over the course of the year. So
we certainly have,
and we want to encourage a lot more of that, especially as we're now starting to look forward, coming into our second year next year, which is not that far away now.
No, not at all. And it'll be an even bigger, better and more exciting FiST Chat.
Absolutely. I was just thinking of that first episode that we did, the advances in digital technology, and I was in the blog that I've written for this week. I've sort of mentioned how it's an interesting starting point for us, just in terms of talking about, sort of where we came from in terms of all the filmmaking side and the technology side. It also seemed a little rough around the edges than what we've now sort of slimmed it down to, which is good. But it was a great starting off point. And one of the things that's fascinating about doing a vodcast like this is finding the tempo, finding that rhythm. And it's been an interesting experience finding that, hasn't it?
It certainly has. And, I guess we've evolved over the year, and you'd expect that as we got more comfortable and started to become a bit more adventurous with the topics. But a bit like our first episode, that really dwelled on where you and I met, 10 years ago now, or maybe a little bit longer. And FiST Chat wouldn't have been possible back then. Digital technologies have made FiST Chat possible, and in the way we do FiST Chat, and it's made it accessible for our audiences. 10 years ago, could you ever imagine having an audience the size that we do, Ben?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If we did even one episode, it would just be sitting on a shelf. If it didn't get out with a couple of screenings and a couple of well placed positions or something.
And one episode would have cost us $10,000. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that's something I've actually blogged about as well this week, is just the fact that even up to just a couple of years ago, this wasn't feasibly possible in such a simple way of, because video streaming the way it is now is a very, very recent phenomenon. It's kind of easy to take it for granted that, it feels like we've had it forever. But I remember those days when, I used to get excited seeing a video play on a computer screen. That was off a CD-ROM. So that goes back quite a way. Let's have a look at some of what else did we talk about over the year? We talked a lot about climate in a couple of our episodes this year. It's worth mentioning in this episode in Australia, we've just had the carbon price passed, which it's been a huge sort of political football here, and will continue to be so, I would say, until something gets resolved one way or the other. But it is regardless of what you think, it seems to be some action needs to be taken to tackle climate change, and and that this problem that we face. So, were you excited by the carbon pricing passing, or do you think what do you think?
Well, I don't know that I was excited about it. It's probably good to see it happen, but I think if anyone wants to go back, and I think I've got listed the episodes in which they can follow the climate change and the energy debate, because they're very closely linked. You know, you'll see that through our discussions on FiST Chat, in the way that we try and inform people, is that energy and climate are really linked. And we're at a time now where we're standing on the cusp of moving forward economically, socially, and with our technology. And fossil fuel now is no longer the right fuel for us to go forward with. So, I mean, we have had a bit of conjecture online as to, you know, whether or not, you know, climate change is driven by human activity.
Yeah.
I can assure people out there, if they have any doubts, it is. But even if you don't want to believe the big body of scientific knowledge that tells us our climate is changing because of what we're doing to the atmosphere, fossil fuels will not give us enough power to power everyone's iPad, iPhone, and whatever other device you're watching FiST Chat on. It's time to move on. We need something much bigger, much more powerful, much more futuristic.
Absolutely. For a different perspective on this too, I had the good fortune of seeing a presentation by John Thwaites, the ex-Deputy Premier from Victoria, and he's heavily into this largely because, as he said in the presentation, he became convinced of all of this after being Water Minister for Victoria. One interesting thing that he pointed out, he had a couple of graphs in his presentation, and he basically said that people aren't talking about the fact that electricity prices were going up anyway, and a lot of it has got to do with the regulatory body and the way the regulations work in the actual industry itself, and the carbon pricing part of it, which is causing such a huge uproar here that you know, we're going to have our cost of living blown out. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. And it turns out that the modelling is suggesting that the carbon pricing is only going to be a small fraction of what was an inevitable increase anyway.
Well, the truth is, and I think we made this point in one of the early FiST Chats, or it could have been the future of energy, that we've had fossil fuels very, very cheaply for far too long. We used to just stick a hole in the ground, oil used to come out. Yeah. Now we're mining under polar ice caps, in tar sands, things that are quite difficult. So, you know, it's time to move on, people. It's time, if we really are clever, if we really are going to go into space and do all the things that a person who listens to FiST Chat wants to see happen, fossil fuels got to go.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift tack and go to... I have to highlight just a favourite episode of mine on the effects of caffeine, largely because we've both had experience on that, and it's the only episode for the entire year where we were actually together for it, to do it. And I was actually just thinking of that recently because I unfortunately slipped into a bit of a coffee binge recently, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But I watched the episode and I remembered why it's best to stay away from it in long doses.
Yeah, well, it was a very popular episode, and we got a lot of commentary about it once again, and that's where I think that, you know, people, I think that really is a great example of what FiST Chat does for all of us, our listeners. We all have questions, we're all curious about stuff, and I mean, we really, I think, told people a little bit about caffeine, maybe stuff they didn't want to hear, but, you know, caffeine not just as in coffee, but as in energy drinks, and, you know, as a drug.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on again. Just trying to cover all that we've got here. If we move into technology, we've got technology, and of course we had a lot of PC and Apple discussions this year. And
love PC v Apple.
Oh, absolutely. Always got to have that fight.
Google v Apple. Samsung v Apple.
Oh, absolutely. The list goes on.
Evil Apple versus good Apple.
Oh, the evil twin, like Superman 3, yeah.
Yeah.
One of our followers on Facebook, Amanda, sent through a link to a follow-up article relating to Windows 8, where there's basically Microsoft is looking at shipping Windows 8 version that just runs on ARM chips, which would mean that it would probably be the only Metro-style interface for the tablet, which makes sense. You probably wouldn't run the full Windows desktop on a tablet.
Yeah.
And this is sort of going along the lines of what Apple's done with the iPad in splitting the operating systems. But in looking over the course of the year about how all of that's played out, it should be interesting to see what happens in 2012, because Windows 8's scheduled to come out then, and if Microsoft's on the ball, they're going to release them on tablets, phones. They're essentially going to have the same sort of setup that Apple's got right now. And if they do what they've done in the past, which is to undercut and deliver it on cheaper hardware, then maybe there might be a bit of competition there.
Well, I think it's huge. I mean, we've really not heard very much from Microsoft probably for the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, Windows 7 was great, but
you can't really remember anything that was exciting, can you?
No, well, not apart from them saying no more to Vista. But
yeah.
But apart from that, it's been very quiet, and I think that Microsoft will hit back. They have to, and I think Google will probably be in the firing line.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, what have they got to offer at this stage apart from search? They've got the Android software, and admittedly, when I've looked at it in the past, it looks kind of interesting in the sense of how it works. But then afterwards, I had another long look at it, and as we were discussing after you were looking at which phone to get, I recommended heavily not to use Android for the simple reason that it's obviously doing pretty well at the moment, but the fragmentation of it is just horrendous.
I don't know. I'm now stuck with an iPhone 4S, Ben. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, life's tough, isn't it?
It's tough.
Okay, what else? Oh, and I just wanted to highlight, I did enjoy doing the episode with you about Kubrick inventing the iPad. That was a pretty cool episode.
Well, that was another very popular episode, and that probably leads us a little bit into our Hollywood thing. I often get asked why films in with science and technology, and well, the reason is because Hollywood, really, there is a lot of science and technology in it. It's a science of observation, capturing an observation on film or digital these days. It's about creating worlds which we can't go to, but Hollywood can immerse ourselves in. And we've done that great episode. Also, 3D is dead for anyone who.
Well, I was just going to say about 3D that that's an excellent example of technology, and they're trying to employ it to spearhead more audience numbers, but somehow. Even though they're charging more for the tickets, the numbers are not as high. So, maybe they should get it through their heads that it's just a gimmick.
No, don't worry. When FiST Chat goes 3D, that's when the take-up will be really big.
Absolutely. Although I will say for 3D that it has spearheaded the introduction of digital cinemas more rapidly than what it had otherwise, because it didn't look like that was moving along very, very much until 3D came along.
No, that's true. And the third part of being interested in films, in terms of science technology, is the very fertile ground for FiST Chat, which is science fiction genre films, and we've done everything from missions to Mars to our favourite aliens to sci-fi films that get it right to the sci-fi films coming out, and everyone loves sci-fi. They don't admit it, but they really do.
Well, Hollywood was built on the back of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, so science fiction being a big part of that. So it's a reason why it is popular, because it just offers, a tantalizing look at what could be.
That's right, and that's the sort of thing that really... you'd hope that people want to open their minds. They want to think about the future. They want to be inspired, and they want to dream. And, there's only so much that anyone can do. It's up to each and every one of us to open our minds to what's possible.
Absolutely. All right, so if we look at wrapping up, there's just so much we could get through, but we'd be here for probably another couple of hours if we did that, but we're pressed for time. So I'm really looking forward to, obviously we've still got another couple of episodes for this year, but I'm really looking forward to, to our next 50, getting to 100 and beyond. It's going to be a really interesting time, I think, as we go forward, and we'll obviously have some exciting new developments for next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll keep those under wraps for the next couple of weeks, so people have to keep on listening out for those.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Steve, thanks again for the chat. Congratulations, we got to, we're 50 now. So
yeah, who would have thought, eh? Who would have thought? And if anyone wants to give us any suggestions for the sorts of things we could do, Facebook us, tweet us. We're always listening.
That's right, all on fistchat.com. So check us out. We're all always waiting to hear any comments or feedback or articles you want to send our way. Also, in addition to the episode today, check out our blogs. Both of us will be talking about sort of extending what we've been discussing today about FiST Chat and how it's been an interesting experience for the both of us. So I guess that wraps it up for this week's episode. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next week.